Have you ever felt like you were thrown into a lion's den? Figuratively, of course. A situation so impossible, so terrifying, that all you could do was pray. Well, today we're diving into the incredible true story of a man who literally faced that exact challenge. This is the story of Daniel, a man whose unshakable faith became a legend for the ages. Our story begins in the mighty Babylonian Empire, under the rule of King Darius. Daniel, a man from Judah, was not just anyone. He was brilliant, wise, and incredibly dedicated. In fact, he was so exceptional that King Darius appointed him as one of 3 top administrators over the entire kingdom. And even among those 3, Daniel stood out. The king saw his excellent spirit and planned to set him over the whole realm. Now, when someone is that good at their job and rises that quickly, what often happens? Jealousy. The other administrators and the regional governors, the satraps, were consumed with envy. They watched Daniel, looking for any fault, any mistake, any tiny bit of corruption they could use against him. They scrutinized his work, his decisions, his entire public life. But they found nothing. He was faithful, diligent, and completely blameless in his duties to the king. Frustrated, they realized they would never find grounds for an accusation against Daniel concerning his government work. So, they decided to use his greatest strength against him, his unwavering faith in God. They knew Daniel prayed to his God 3 times a day, every single day, without fail. This was his non-negotiable routine, his lifeline. And they decided to turn this beautiful act of devotion into a criminal offense. The jealous officials hatched a cunning plan. They went to King Darius with a flattering proposal. "O king Darius, live forever," they began. "All the administrators, prefects, satraps, counselors, and governors have agreed that the king should establish a royal statute and enforce a decree that anyone who petitions any god or man for 30 days, except for you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions." They framed it as a way to unify the kingdom and solidify the king's authority. "Sign the decree," they urged, "so that it cannot be changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed." Flattered by this show of loyalty and not suspecting their wicked motive, King Darius signed the decree into law. It was official. For the next 30 days, praying to anyone or anything other than the king was a crime punishable by a gruesome death. Now, what do you think Daniel did when he heard the news? Did he hide? Did he compromise? Did he decide to pray silently in his heart for just a month? No. The scripture tells us that when Daniel learned the decree had been signed, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. And there, just as he had done before, he got down on his knees 3 times a day, prayed, and gave thanks to his God. He didn't do it in defiance of the king, but in obedience to his God. His loyalty was to a higher throne. Of course, the conspirators were watching. This was exactly what they had been waiting for. They burst into his house and found him praying and making supplication before his God. With their evidence, they rushed back to the king. "Did you not sign a decree," they said, "that any man who petitions any god or man within 30 days, except for you, O king, would be cast into the den of lions?" The king confirmed, "The thing is true, according to the unchangeable law of the Medes and Persians." Then they dropped the bomb. That Daniel, they sneered, who is one of the exiles from Judah, does not show due regard for you, O king, or for the decree that you have signed. He still makes his petition 3 times a day. Instantly, King Darius was deeply distressed. He realized he had been tricked. He was incredibly fond of Daniel and respected him immensely. The text says he set his heart on delivering Daniel and labored till the going down of the sun to rescue him. He looked for loopholes, for any way to reverse his own command. But the wicked officials cornered him again, reminding him, "No, O king, that it is the law of the Medes and Persians that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed." His hands were tied by his own pride and his own law. With a heavy heart, the king gave the command. Daniel was arrested and brought to the den of lions. Imagine the scene. A deep pit, the snarling of hungry predators echoing from the darkness. As they were about to throw him in, King Darius spoke to Daniel, his voice filled with anguish but also a glimmer of hope. He said, "Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you." Daniel was cast into the den. A massive stone was rolled over the mouth of the pit, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and the rings of his lords, so that nothing could be changed concerning Daniel. The trap was sealed. There was no human way out. That night, no one in the palace slept. King Darius fasted. He refused any entertainment. He tossed and turned, his mind consumed with worry for Daniel. As soon as the first rays of dawn broke the horizon, the king rushed to the den of lions. His voice was filled with anguish as he cried out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions?" He waited, his heart pounding in the silence. And then, a voice came from the pit. A calm, clear voice. It was Daniel. "O king, live forever." He called out, "My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths, so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him, and also, O king, I have done no wrong before you." The king was overjoyed. He commanded that they take Daniel up out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted out, not a scratch was found on him. Not a single wound. Why? Because he had trusted in his God. The power of faith had triumphed over the power of the lions. But the story doesn't end there. King Darius was not just relieved, he was filled with righteous anger. He commanded that the men who had maliciously accused Daniel be brought forward. And they, along with their wives and children, were cast into the very same den of lions they had intended for Daniel. The scripture tells us that before they even reached the bottom of the den, the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces. It was a swift and terrible justice. Then King Darius wrote a new decree, this time for all the peoples, nations, and languages that dwelt in all the earth. It read, "I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and steadfast forever. His kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall endure to the end. He delivers and rescues, and he works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth, who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions." And so, Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. His story became a powerful testimony, not just of his own courage, but of the power and faithfulness of the God he served. Daniel's story teaches us so much. It's about integrity, about living a life so blameless that your enemies have to invent a law to trap you. It's about courage, the courage to stand for your convictions even when facing the most terrifying consequences. And above all, it's about faith. The kind of faith that trusts God is in control, even when you're in a pit full of lions. Daniel didn't know for sure that God would save him, but he knew that his God was worthy of his worship, no matter the outcome. So the next time you feel like you're in a lion's den, remember Daniel. Remember that the God who shut the mouths of lions is the same God who is with you in your trials. Stand firm, trust him, and you might just witness a miracle of your own. Thanks for watching this incredible story with me today. If it inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of faith and courage. Until next time, stay strong and keep the faith.